Captain Tae-ho Kim was drinking his morning coffee when everything changed. The alarm in his quarters rang 3 times, which meant urgent business. He put down his cup and walked quickly to the communication center of Outpost Sierra. Outpost Sierra was a small space station that floated between Earth and the rest of the galaxy. It served as a meeting place where humans could talk with aliens from the Galactic Council. The station was not fancy, but it was important. When Tae-ho entered the communication center, he saw Commander Lopez standing near the main screen. She looked worried. "What's the situation?" Tae-ho asked. "We have a visitor," Commander Lopez said. "A council representative. He says it's urgent." Tae-ho nodded. In his 7 years working at the station, he had met many alien species. Most visits were planned weeks in advance. Surprise visits usually meant trouble. Where is he now? Conference room 2. He's been waiting for an hour. Tae-ho walked to the conference room. Inside, he found a tall alien with blue skin that seemed to glow under the lights. The creature had 4 fingers on each hand and large eyes that never seemed to blink. Tae-ho recognized him as Admiral Sungmin from the Council Defense Force. "Admiral," Tae-ho said with a respectful bow. "I am Captain Kim. What brings you here today?" "Captain Kim," the Admiral replied, also bowing. "I bring a message from the Galactic Council. We need Earth's help." This was unusual. In the 80 years since humans had learned about alien life, the Council had kept Earth at a distance. They were polite but careful. They traded with humans and shared some technology, but they never asked for help with serious matters. "What kind of help?" Tae-ho asked. The Admiral touched a device on the table. A 3-dimensional map appeared in the air above them. It showed the galaxy with different areas marked in various colors. "This is Council space," the Admiral said, pointing to a large blue area. "Here is Earth." He pointed to a small dot on the edge of the map. Then he pointed to a red area that was growing larger. "This is the Vordax invasion." Tae-ho studied the map. The red area was moving toward Council space like a slow wave. "Tell me about the Vordax," Tae-ho said. The Admiral's skin changed to a paler shade of blue. "They are destroyers. They consume everything in their path. When they take a planet, they strip it of all resources, then break it apart for materials. Nothing survives." "How many systems have they taken?" 4 so far. Each system had billions of inhabitants. The Admiral paused. "All dead." Tae-ho felt a chill. "That's terrible. But I still don't understand why you're here. The Council has advanced technology and large fleets. Surely you can stop them." "No," the Admiral said quietly. "We cannot. The Council has existed peacefully for 3,000 years. We have forgotten how to fight wars. Our people panic when attacked. Our commanders hesitate when they should act. We have the tools for war, but not the knowledge." The Admiral changed the map to show Earth in detail. "Your planet is known throughout the galaxy as a death world," he explained. "The gravity would crush most species. The temperature changes would kill them. You have dangerous levels of oxygen in your atmosphere. Most importantly, you evolved as persistence hunters." "What does that mean?" Tae-ho asked, though he suspected he knew. "It means humans chase their prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Very few species hunt this way. Most ambush or trap their food. But humans never give up. They follow. They endure. They adapt." Tae-ho understood now. "You're afraid of us." "Yes," the Admiral admitted. "Your capacity for violence frightens many Council species. It is why Earth has been kept at a distance despite being part of the galactic community. But now you need us. We need the most dangerous species in the known galaxy to teach us how to fight, to lead us against the Vordax. Without your help, the invasion will destroy everything." Tae-ho was quiet for a moment, thinking about what this meant. "I will send your request to Earth's government, but I cannot promise anything." "I understand," the Admiral said. "I will wait for their answer." 2 days later, Tae-ho received orders to bring Admiral Sungmin to Earth for a special meeting of the United Assembly. They traveled on a fast ship and arrived at Earth's capital city the next morning. The assembly building was large and impressive, with representatives from every nation on Earth. Taiho had never been inside before. He felt nervous as he walked with the Admiral to the main chamber. President Ji-woo Park stood at the front of the room. She was small, but had a commanding presence. Her gray hair was pulled back, and her face showed both kindness and strength. "Admiral Sungmin," she said, "thank you for coming to Earth. Please tell us about this threat." The Admiral activated his device again, showing the galaxy map to the assembled leaders. He explained about the Vordax, their destructive methods, and the Council's inability to stop them. "What exactly are you asking of us?" President Park said. "We ask for your warriors," the Admiral replied. "Your tacticians, your survivors. We ask for those who understand combat in a way my people cannot. We have advanced technology, but we have forgotten how to use it as a weapon." General Han Dae-sung, the head of Earth's defense forces, leaned forward. "And what does Earth gain from this arrangement?" "The full resources of the Council," the Admiral answered. "Advanced medical technology, better space travel, new energy sources, and most importantly, our friendship and protection." The Assembly members talked among themselves for several minutes. Finally, President Park called for quiet. "We will vote tomorrow morning," she announced. "This meeting is now closed." That evening, Taeho was invited to a private meeting with President Park, General Han, and several other important leaders. "Captain Kim," the president said, "you have worked with Council species for 7 years. Do you believe Admiral Sungmin is telling the truth?" "Yes, Madam President," Taeho replied. "The Council values peace above everything else. For them, to ask for military help means they are truly desperate." General Han tapped his fingers on the table. "If we agree to help, we need to be smart about it. Not just a few soldiers, but a complete force. People trained for the most extreme situations." "I agree," said President Park. "Captain Kim, would you be willing to work as our representative for this mission?" "Of course, Madam President." The next morning, the Assembly voted to help the Galactic Council. The vote was close, but it passed. Earth would send its best fighters to help stop the Vordax invasion. Operation Sentinel was created immediately. 500 human specialists would be selected for the mission. Colonel Yoonji Kang was chosen to lead them. She had fought in conflicts around the world and was known for her brilliant tactical mind and her ability to train soldiers quickly. As preparations began, Taeho helped coordinate between Earth and the Council. He watched as soldiers arrived at the lunar training facility from every continent. They were not all big or strong, but they shared something important. They never gave up. When Admiral Sungmin saw the assembled human force for the first time, he seemed worried. "These are your greatest warriors?" he asked Taeho. "They look ordinary." "That's what makes humans dangerous," Taeho replied. "You never know which ones will fight the hardest until the fighting starts." Colonel Kang gathered her troops and spoke to them clearly. "The Council thinks they're getting soldiers to fight their war," she said. "But we're going to do more than that. We're going to teach them how to survive." As training began, Taeho watched from the observation areas. Earth was sending its deadliest humans to the stars. The galaxy would never be the same again. The lunar training facility was built into the side of a crater. Its gray walls matched the dusty surface around it. From space, it was almost invisible. Inside, 500 of Earth's most dangerous humans prepared for war. Colonel Eunji Kang walked through the main training hall. Her steps were quick and her back straight. She had led soldiers for 15 years, but never on a mission like this. Never against aliens who destroyed entire planets. "Status report," she said to the officer. Beside her, Major Jun-ho checked his tablet. "All recruits have arrived. Medical screenings are complete. Training groups have been assigned." Colonel Kang nodded. Jun-ho was her best tactical officer. He could look at a battlefield and see patterns others missed. In simulations, he could predict enemy movements with amazing accuracy. Some said he had a computer for a brain. "What about our alien friends?" she asked. "Admiral Sungmin and 3 other council representatives are waiting in the conference room," Jun-ho replied. "They seem nervous." "They should be," Kang said. "They're about to see how humans fight." The conference room had a large window overlooking the training area. The 4 aliens stood near the glass, their tall bodies casting long shadows on the floor. They turned when Kang and Junho entered. "Colonel," said Admiral Sungmin with a small bow. "Thank you for allowing us to observe." "You asked for our help," Kang replied. "You should see what that means." She pressed a button on the wall. The window became a screen showing different areas of the facility. In one room, soldiers practiced with weapons. In another, they studied alien biology. In a third, they ran obstacle courses in heavy gravity suits. These soldiers come from 37 nations, Kang explained. Each was chosen for special skills. She pointed to a woman analyzing a holographic display of alien anatomy. "Captain Subin is our xenobiology expert. She can identify weaknesses in any living thing." The screen changed to show a man running through an ice field in minimal protective gear. Lieutenant Do Hyun can survive in the most extreme environments: cold, heat, low oxygen, high pressure. He adapts quickly. More images appeared. Soldiers learning alien languages, engineers studying council technology, medics practicing on non-human anatomy models. "The council races think they're recruiting mercenaries," Kang said to the aliens. "But we're not going to fight your war for you. We're going to teach you how to survive." One of the alien representatives, taller than the others with skin that shifted colors like an octopus, spoke up. "My people have not engaged in warfare for over 1,000 years. We may not be capable of learning such things." Major Junho stepped forward. "With respect, sir, that's not true. We've studied all council species. None of you have lost the ability to fight. You've just forgotten how." He activated his tablet and the screen changed again. It showed diagrams of different alien bodies with notes on their strengths and weaknesses. "The Nixians have 4 arms but no depth perception," he explained. "The Tellurians can process information faster than any computer but lack the instinct to recognize danger. The Araxians can regenerate limbs but have never evolved the concept of strategic retreat." Admiral Sung Min's skin changed from its normal blue to a pale white. "You have studied us as if we were targets." "No," Kang corrected. "As if you were soldiers who need training. Each council species has natural advantages. We'll build our strategy around those." Later that day, Kang met with her command team in a small room deep inside the facility. Captain Subin and Lieutenant Do Hyun sat with Major Junho around a table covered with maps and diagrams. "The Admiral was disturbed by our approach," Kang told them. "He expected us to take charge completely, not to train their people." Subin smiled. Her eyes were tired from hours of studying alien biology. "They think of us as the dangerous species, so they want us to do the dangerous work." "That would be a mistake," said Do Hyun. His face still showed the redness of his cold weather training. "We don't know their territory. We don't know the enemy well enough. We need their knowledge combined with our tactics." Junho tapped his tablet, bringing up a new training schedule. "I've created a system. Each human trainer will work with mixed groups of council species. We'll focus on their natural strengths." "Good," said Kang. "How much time do we need?" 3 months minimum, Junho replied. "Less than that and they won't be ready." "We might not have 3 months, Kang said quietly. "The Vordax have destroyed another system. They're moving faster than expected." The room was silent for a moment. Then Do Hyun spoke. "Then we train harder, day and night. We push them until they break, then build them back stronger." 2 weeks later, Admiral Sung Min stood with Colonel Kang watching a training exercise. Human instructors led mixed groups of council species through combat simulations. The aliens moved awkwardly at first, but they were learning. "Is it necessary to be so brutal?" the Admiral asked as he watched a human trainer shout at a group of Tellurians who had failed to complete their mission. "The Vordax won't show restraint," Kang replied. "Neither can we. Our cultures value harmony and cooperation," Sung Min said. "This focus on violence is difficult for many to accept." Kang turned to face him. "What do your people value more? Your cultural preference for peace, or the lives of billions who will die if the Vordax aren't stopped?" The Admiral had no answer. The training continued. Something unexpected happened. The council species began to adapt faster than predicted. The Nixians developed new fighting styles using their forearms. The Tellurians created complex battle algorithms. The Araxians learned to use their regenerative abilities tactically, taking risks that would kill other species. They're naturals, Subin told Kang during a late-night meeting. They just needed someone to show them the way. How are they handling the psychological aspects? Kang asked. Better than expected, Junho answered. They understand what's at stake, and they have strong minds, just untrained for conflict. The day before the joint force was scheduled to depart, President Jiwoo Park arrived from Earth to address the troops. She stood on a platform in the main hall looking out at the assembled humans and aliens. You carry more than weapons into this conflict, she said. Her voice was calm but carried through the large room. You carry the knowledge of our long, difficult history. Humans evolved through conflict, but we also evolved beyond it. We learned that fighting is sometimes necessary, but peace is always the goal. She looked at the council representatives standing nearby. Teach them to fight, she continued, but also teach them why the peace they built is worth preserving. Colonel Kang watched her troops as they prepared to board the transport ships. Each human was paired with a group of council species they had trained personally. They moved together now, no longer separated by their differences. Captain Subin checked her medical supplies one last time. Lieutenant Do Hyun tested his environmental suit. Major Junho reviewed battle plans on his tablet. The first human council joint military force in galactic history was ready to face the Vordax. As Colonel Kang boarded the command ship, Admiral Sung-min approached her. 3 months ago, I came to Earth seeking warriors, he said. I did not expect to find teachers as well. That's the thing about humans, Kang replied. We're full of surprises. The ships rose from the lunar surface, 500 humans and 2,000 council allies bound for the edge of known space. They were not just going to fight a war. They were going to show the galaxy a new way to survive. The Polaris star system sat at the edge of council space. It had 3 inhabited planets and a busy trade station. 15 billion people lived there. None of them knew they were about to become the front line in a war. Colonel Yoonji Kang stood on the bridge of the UES Chimera, the flagship of the Human Council fleet. Through the main viewport, she could see the other ships taking position. 20 large council vessels and 15 smaller human ships formed a loose formation. Status report, she said. Major Junho looked up from his console. All ships in position. Council commanders await your orders. And the Vordax? Long-range sensors show they will enter the system in 4 hours. Kang nodded. This would be the first test of their joint forces. The first time the Vordax would face organized resistance. Admiral Sung-min entered the bridge. In the 2 weeks of travel to reach Polaris, he had spent many hours with the human commanders, learning their strategies. Colonel, the council commanders, wish to attempt communication with the Vordax when they arrive, he said. Perhaps we can resolve this without bloodshed. Captain Subin, who had been studying data on a nearby screen, shook her head. Not possible, Admiral. The Vordax don't communicate like we do. Their biology is fundamentally different. She brought up an image on the main screen. It showed a dissection of a Vordax drone, captured from a damaged scout ship. Its internal organs were unlike anything the Council had seen before. They operate as a hive mind, Subin explained. Each drone is linked to the others. They don't talk. They don't negotiate. They consume. Still, we must try, the Admiral insisted. Kang looked at him. His devotion to peace was admirable but dangerous in this situation. We will send one message, she decided. If they respond with anything other than retreat, we fight. The next hours passed slowly. The Human Council fleet moved all civilian ships behind the third planet and prepared ground defenses. Lieutenant Do-hyun led teams to set up evacuation centers. We can't save everyone, he told Kang over the comm system, but we can get key personnel to safety. Finally, sensors detected the Vordax fleet entering the system. 17 massive ships, each one bigger than the largest council vessel. They're here, Junho announced. The Vordax ships moved in formation toward the system's inner planets. Their hulls were dark gray, covered in strange protrusions that looked like giant feeding tubes. "Send the message," Kang ordered. Admiral Sungmin stepped forward and spoke clearly. "Attention Vordax Collective. This system is under protection of the Galactic Council. We request you depart immediately. We have no wish for conflict, but will defend this territory." The message was translated into every known frequency and format. The bridge crew waited. The Vordax ships continued forward without pause. Then they split into 3 battle groups, each heading toward a different planet. "No response," said Junho. "They never respond," Subin added quietly. "They only consume." Kang turned to the Admiral. "Now we fight." The Admiral nodded, his face grim. "Give your orders, Colonel." Kang activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships hold position," she commanded. "Wait for the enemy to commit." The Council commanders immediately began to protest. Their instinct was to spread out, to protect all planets at once. But Major Junho had studied previous Vordax attacks. He knew that was exactly what the enemy expected. "Trust the plan," Kang reminded them firmly. The Vordax fleet continued to separate. 5 ships moved toward the first planet, 6 toward the second, 6 toward the main colony world. "They're exposing themselves," Junho said, pointing to the tactical display, "dividing their forces." "That's their mistake," Kang replied. Now, the Human Council fleet surged forward as one unit, all ships moving toward the 3rd Vordax group. The Council vessels with their advanced weapons led the attack while the human ships provided tactical support. "What about the other planets?" Admiral Sungmin asked, watching as the first 2 Vordax groups moved unopposed toward their targets. "One battle at a time," Kang answered. The combined fleet hit the 3rd Vordax group with overwhelming force. Council beam weapons sliced through the alien hulls while human missiles targeted the weak points Subin had identified in her research. 2 Vordax ships exploded immediately. A 3rd drifted out of formation, damaged. The remaining 3 returned fire, their weapons tearing into the lead Council vessels. "First wave successful," Junho reported. "Enemy Group 3 is compromised." Kang activated her personal communication device. "Lieutenant Do Hyun, status?" Do Hyun's voice came through, battle sounds in the background. "Boarding teams ready, Colonel. We go on your command." "Execute." Small human transport ships launched from the Chimera, each carrying mixed teams of human and Council soldiers. Their target was the damaged Vordax ship. Do Hyun led the first team. They landed on the hull and cut their way inside. What they found was nightmare fuel. The interior of the Vordax ship was partly mechanical, partly biological. Walls pulsed like living tissue. Drones moved through corridors like blood cells through veins. "Stay focused," Do Hyun told his team, which included 3 Nixians and 2 Araxians. "Remember your training. Find the control node." The drones attacked with mindless determination. They were pale, eyeless creatures with too many limbs. They didn't use weapons. They didn't need to. Their bodies were weapons, with claws and teeth, designed to tear and consume. The Human Council teams fought back with precise tactics. The Nixians, with their 4 arms, provided covering fire. The Araxians, able to regenerate, took point positions. The humans coordinated it all, keeping the teams moving toward their objectives. "Control node located," Do Hyun reported after 30 minutes of bitter fighting. "Setting charges now." Back on the Chimera, Kang watched the battle unfold. The tactical display showed the other 2 Vordax groups turning around, abandoning their approach to the first 2 planets. "They know they're in trouble," Junho said. At that moment, Do Hyun's charges detonated. The damaged Vordax ship went dark, its connection to the hive mind severed. All drones aboard stopped moving, suddenly mindless without their link to the central intelligence. The other Vordax ships seemed to hesitate, as if confused by the loss of part of their collective mind. "Now hit them all," Kang ordered. The combined fleet reorganized and launched a coordinated attack on the remaining Vordax ships. Without their unified strategy, the aliens fought poorly. 3 more ships were destroyed before the rest retreated, jumping out of the system as quickly as they had arrived. For the first time in known history, the Vordax had been defeated. Hours later, as damage reports came in and medical teams treated the wounded, a Peleran commander approached Colonel Kang on the bridge of the Chimera. "You sacrificed 2 planets to save the system," he said, his voice shaking with a mix of gratitude and horror. "No," Kang corrected. "We evacuated those planets before the battle began. We sacrificed infrastructure to save lives and win the war. That's the difference between your thinking and ours." She pointed to the tactical display, where Lieutenant Do-hyun's teams were securing the disabled Vordax ship. "This is just the beginning," she told the Peleran commander. "The Vordax will adapt. They'll change their tactics. So must we." As if to confirm her words, Captain Subin entered the bridge with new information. "Colonel, we've analyzed the data from the captured ship. The Vordax hive mind is more complex than we thought. It learns from each encounter." Admiral Sungmin, who had been quiet since the battle ended, looked up. "So, they will be prepared for our tactics next time?" "Yes," Kang agreed. "Which means we need to evolve faster than they do." She gathered her command team. The first battle was won, but the war had just begun, and the deadliest humans in the galaxy were ready for what came next. 6 months had passed since the battle at Polaris. 6 months of hard fighting across multiple star systems. 6 months of learning, adapting, and evolving. Colonel Eunji Kang, now promoted to general, stood in the council war room. Star maps covered the walls, showing the movement of both Allied forces and Vordax fleets. The room was filled with representatives from 24 species, both human and council. "The Vordax have changed their tactics," General Kang said, pointing to a recent battle site. "They no longer divide their forces, they no longer follow predictable patterns." Major Junho nodded. His face looked tired. He had been working non-stop to analyze enemy movements and develop counter-strategies. "They learn quickly," he said. "Each time we defeat them, the next group fights differently." Admiral Sungmin, who had become a strong supporter of the human approach to warfare, studied the battle reports. "Some council species have adapted well to combat," he noted. "Others still struggle." This was true. The Nixians had become excellent fighters, using their forearms to operate multiple weapons at once. The Tellurians had developed complex tactical systems based on human strategies. But other species, like the peaceful Lorians, could barely bring themselves to fire weapons even when attacked. Captain Subin entered the room carrying new data from her research team. Over the past months, she had been studying captured Vordax technology and biology, looking for weaknesses. "I have new information," she announced. "The Vordax hive mind operates on a quantum entanglement network." "What does that mean?" asked one of the council commanders. "It means each drone is connected instantly to all others," Subin explained. "Distance doesn't matter, but there's a limitation. They can only maintain this connection within certain parameters." General Kang leaned forward, interested. "Parameters that we can disrupt?" "Possibly," Subin replied. "We need to test it." That evening, Kang met with her command team to develop a new plan. They gathered in a small room adjacent to the main war center. "Operation Sundering," she said, outlining her idea. "A mission to disrupt the Vordax communication network by exploiting the limitation Captain Subin discovered." Lieutenant Do-hyun, who had led dozens of boarding actions against Vordax ships, studied the mission parameters. His face now bore scars from close combat with Vordax drones. "This is deep in enemy territory," he said. "Extremely dangerous." "You don't have to go," Kang told him. Do-hyun smiled. "I didn't say I wouldn't go. Just that it's dangerous." The plan called for a small team to travel to the edge of Vordax territory. There, they would deploy a series of quantum disruptors designed by Subin and council scientists. These devices would interfere with the Vordax hive mind connection, potentially causing confusion throughout their entire fleet. "Who goes?" asked Junho. "A mixed team," Kang decided. "Humans and council species working together. We need both our combat skills and their technical knowledge." Lieutenant Do-hyun would lead the team. 4 human Special Forces soldiers would accompany him, along with 3 council members. Merak, a Nixian engineer who had become an expert in Vordax technology. Thala, an Araxian linguist who had studied the strange signals the Vordax used to communicate. And Zoral, a Tellurian strategist trained by Major Junho. They departed 2 days later in a small stealth ship. The mission was expected to take 2 weeks, 4 days to reach the target area, 2 days to deploy the disruptors, and 4 days to return, with extra time built in for complications. But complications arose sooner than expected. On the 3rd day of travel, as they approached the nebula that marked the boundary of Vordax space, sensors detected a patrol of enemy ships. "They shouldn't be here," Zoral said, checking the star charts. "Our intelligence showed this route was clear." "They're adapting faster than we anticipated," Do-hyun replied. "Change course. We'll go through the nebula instead of around it." The nebula was dangerous, filled with electromagnetic interference that made navigation difficult. But it would hide them from Vordax sensors. For 2 days, they moved slowly through the colorful gas clouds. The council members, with their enhanced senses, helped navigate the treacherous space. Merak could see energy patterns invisible to human eyes. Thala could feel subtle changes in radiation that would harm most species. They had almost reached the other side when disaster struck. A Vordax scout ship appeared directly in their path, having entered the nebula from the opposite side. "They've seen us," Zoral reported. Do-hyun made a quick decision. "We run silent, minimal power. Maybe they'll pass by." The team shut down all non-essential systems. They floated in space, barely breathing, as the Vordax ship moved closer. Then the enemy changed course, heading straight for them. "They know we're here," Do-hyun said. "Prepare for combat." The Vordax ship attacked first, firing strange energy, weapons that seemed to distort space itself. The stealth ship took heavy damage. Do-hyun managed to return fire, damaging the enemy vessel, but not before their own engines were hit. "We need to land," Merak said, checking the damage reports. "The ship won't make it back to council space." They limped to a small moon orbiting, a gas giant deep in the nebula. As they made their emergency landing, the Vordax ship crashed nearby. "They're sending a distress signal," Thala warned, monitoring communications. "More will come." Do-hyun gathered his team. "New plan. We take what we need from the ship and continue on foot. We complete the mission, then find another way home." For 3 days, they trekked across the barren moon, carrying the quantum disruptors. Vordax drones from the crashed ship hunted them. The team fought several skirmishes, losing 1 human soldier to a drone ambush. During one battle, Do-hyun was seriously injured, protecting Merak from attack. The human lieutenant had pushed the Nixian out of the path of a drone, taking the hit himself. The drone's claws had torn through his protective suit, leaving deep wounds in his chest and arm. "Leave me," Do-hyun told them as they tried to treat his injuries. "Complete the mission." Merak refused. "That is not how humans taught us to fight," the Nixian said. "We leave no one behind." The Nixian engineer lifted Do-hyun onto his shoulders. For 3 days, Merak carried the injured human through hostile territory, while the others protected them and continued toward their goal. By the time they reached the deployment site, Do-hyun was feverish from infection, but he remained conscious, guiding the team as they set up the disruptors. "Activate them simultaneously," he instructed. "The effect needs to be sudden and complete." The devices powered up, creating a field of quantum interference that spread across the sector. Immediately, they saw the effect on nearby Vordax drones, which began moving erratically as if confused. "It's working," Thala said. Just then, sensors showed multiple Vordax ships entering the system, responding to the crashed ship's distress call. "Time to go," Do-hyun said weakly. They fought their way to an emergency beacon site and activated it, hoping allies would respond. For 2 days, they defended their position against increasingly disorganized Vordax attacks. Finally, a council rescue ship arrived, having detected their signal. As they were extracted, Merak still carrying the injured Do-hyun, They could see the Vordax ships in orbit, their movements uncoordinated and ineffective. When they returned to Council space, something fundamental had changed. The Council species had begun to internalize not just human tactics but human resolve, and the humans had gained a new appreciation for the Council's unique abilities. The operation was a success, General Kang announced to the War Council. The quantum disruptors have severely hampered Vordax coordination in 3 sectors. She looked at Lieutenant Do-hyun, now recovering in medical, and at Marak, who refused to leave the human side. But we learned something more important, she continued. We learned that we are stronger together than apart. Each species brings something the others lack. From that day forward, the war changed. Human and Council forces were fully integrated, each contributing their evolutionary advantages. The Vordax advance was halted, and for the first time, the Allied forces began to reclaim lost territory. The Deadliest humans had not just brought their combat skills to the galaxy, they had brought their capacity to adapt, to learn, and to unite diverse allies against a common threat. 3 years had passed since the first human soldiers arrived in Council space. 3 years of war against the Vordax. 3 years of teaching, learning, fighting, and evolving. Now it was time for the final battle. General Yoon-ji Kang stood on the bridge of the UES Chimera, looking at the massive fleet gathered around her. 500 ships from 24 species formed the largest military force in galactic history, and they were all following her orders. Status report, she said. Major Junho, now her second-in-command, checked the tactical display. All ships report ready, General. Council forces are in position. Human elements are prepared for the attack run. Kang nodded. The target was the Vordax homeworld, a massive gas giant surrounded by harvester platforms. Somewhere in that system was the primary node of the Vordax hive mind, the central intelligence that controlled all Vordax forces across the galaxy. Captain Subin, are you certain about the location? Kang asked. Subin's face appeared on a communication screen. She was no longer just a xenobiology expert. She now led a combined Human Council Science Division dedicated to understanding the enemy. Yes, General, she replied. After analyzing data from 17 captured Vordax ships, we have confirmed the primary node is located on the innermost moon. It's a biological supercomputer, the original Vordax entity from which all others were created. Another face appeared on the screen, Lieutenant Do-hyun. His body still carried scars from a dozen battles, but his eyes were as determined as ever. Strike team is ready, he reported. We have the virus package prepared. This was the key to their plan. Over the past year, Council scientists working with human specialists had developed a targeted virus. Not a biological agent, but a quantum information virus designed to sever the connections between all Vordax units. Remember, Kang told them all, the Vordax will fight harder than ever. This is their home. This is their survival. Be prepared for anything. Admiral Sung-min joined her on the bridge. After 3 years of war, he looked older, wiser, and sadder, but also stronger. It is time, General, he said. The Council has authorized the attack. Kang turned to the communication officer. All ships commence Battle Plan Alpha. May we all see the end of this war today. The Allied fleet moved forward into the Vordax system. Immediately, enemy ships rose to meet them, hundreds of Vordax vessels, more than they had ever faced before. They were waiting for us, Junho said. Of course they were, Kang replied. They knew we would come eventually. The battle erupted across the system. Council beam weapons sliced through Vordax ships. Human missiles found weak points in enemy hulls. Nixian boarding parties disabled engine systems. Tellurian tacticians predicted enemy movements seconds before they happened. But the Vordax fought with desperate fury. 300 Allied ships were damaged or destroyed in the first hour. The Chimera itself took heavy fire, losing engines and weapon systems. Hull breach on Deck 7, reported a crewman. Emergency systems failing. Transfer command, Kang ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos. I'm moving to the backup bridge. As she made her way through the damaged ship, explosions rocked the corridor. A support beam fell, crushing her leg. 2 council crew members helped her to the backup bridge, where she continued to direct the battle despite the pain. Meanwhile, Do-hyun led his strike team toward the innermost moon. Their ship was small and fast, designed to slip through the battle to reach the target. With him were 15 soldiers, 8 humans, and 7 council members, including Marak the Nixian and Thala the Araxian, who had been with him since Operation Sundering. Enemy fighters on approach, warned the pilot. Evasive action, Do-hyun ordered. We must reach that moon. The small ship rolled and twisted through space, taking hits but pressing forward. 3 Vordax destroyers moved to intercept them. We'll never get past those, Marak said. Do-hyun was about to order a new course when the destroyers suddenly exploded. Through the debris flew a damaged council cruiser, its weapons still firing. This is Admiral Sung-min, came a voice over the communication system. Proceed to your target, Lieutenant. We will cover you. The strike ship landed on the barren surface of the moon. As the team exited, they saw the battle raging in space above them. Explosions lit up the darkness like new stars being born and dying in moments. The node is 2 kilometers north, Do-hyun told his team. Move fast, stay alert. They hadn't gone far when Vordax ground forces attacked. These weren't the mindless drones they had faced before. These were elite guards, bigger, and smarter than standard Vordax. The team fought their way forward but took heavy losses. By the time they reached the entrance to the primary node facility, only Do-hyun, Marak, Thala, and 2 human soldiers remained. Inside, they faced even fiercer resistance. 1 human soldier fell protecting their flank. The other was badly wounded, but continued to fight. Finally, they reached the central chamber. There, suspended in a glowing liquid, was the primary node. It looked like a massive brain pulsing with energy and life. Set the virus, Do-hyun ordered. As Marak worked to connect their device to the Vordax systems, alarms began to sound. The node is initiating a defensive overload, Thala warned, reading the alien displays. If it completes, it will destroy this facility and everyone in it. How long until the virus takes effect? Do-hyun asked. 3 minutes, Marak replied, but the overload will happen in 2. Do-hyun looked at his companions. Someone would need to stay behind to maintain the connection until the virus completed its work. Go, he told them. Get back to the ship. This was always humanity's fight. Marak shook his head, all 4 of his arms moving in refusal. You taught us how to fight, the Nixian said. Let us show you we learned how to sacrifice as well. Before either could argue further, Thala stepped forward. I will stay, she said. Her Araxian biology gave her regenerative abilities the others lacked. I can withstand the damage long enough for the virus to work. Do-hyun wanted to protest, but he saw the determination in her eyes. It was the same look he had seen in human soldiers willing to die for a cause. Thank you, he said simply. As Do-hyun and Marak escaped in their ship, they watched the facility below them. When the overload came, it destroyed half the moon's surface, but not before the virus had completed its work. Across the system, Vordax, ships suddenly lost coordination. The hive mind that had guided them was gone. What remained were isolated non-sentient organisms that could be contained rather than destroyed. 1 week later, representatives from all allied species gathered on the council homeworld for a victory ceremony. General Kang, her leg now in a mechanical brace, stood beside President Park of Earth. Humans came to this war as teachers of violence, President Park told the assembly. We leave it as students of peace. The Galactic Council feared our capacity for destruction, but you have helped us channel it into protection. This victory belongs to all of us. Admiral Sung-min stepped forward and presented the humans with a formal invitation to full council membership, an honor previously withheld due to concerns about humanity's aggressive tendencies. Later, at a private celebration, Kang found herself standing with Do-hyun and Marak, watching the diverse groups of humans and aliens mingling together. The galaxy called us because we were dangerous, she said. They discovered we were more than that. We're survivors, and now so are they. Over the next year, the human military presence in Council space was gradually reduced, but thousands of human advisors remained to help incorporate the lessons of the war into Council defense doctrine. Meanwhile, Council scientific and cultural exchanges with Earth increased. The species that had evolved on a death world had shown the galaxy that their capacity for violence was matched by their capacity for sacrifice, and the peaceful races of the Council had proved they could adapt and fight when necessary without losing their commitment to life. Together, they had created something new, a galactic community that understood both the necessity of strength and the value of compassion. The Vortex would not be the last threat the galaxy would face, but never again would the Council be unprepared, and never again would humanity stand apart from their galactic neighbors. They had been called because they were deadly. They would be remembered because they were human.